Okay, thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here and having heard all what you just said. It's very meaningful. My food that I choose this time is as well the corn in the form of the tortilla because it's our local food, everyday meal in our tables here in Mexico and in particularly in Morelos, the state where I live, and I'm in Cuernavaca, Morelos, 60 kilometers south of Mexico City, the big city. It's a city that is called the Eternal Springs because it has such a beautiful weather and everything that you try to plant in this land grows easily and nicely. And the corn here is as well is from a traditional sort of type that is a very wild kind of thing, and the tortillas are handmade still, and that gives a particularly interesting flavor and consistency to the tortilla. So also the interesting thing about it is that we can make tortillas out of maya nut, our more guest speaker here of the day, and they have a different and nutritious flavor to the normal tortilla. So anything else I can say is I'm very pleased to be here and thank you very much. I think there's nothing else I can add apart from what Andrea very kindly put on the ad for this talk. And yeah, we can probably start away with the conversation.
Go ahead and take it over, and we're definitely looking forward to hearing what you got to say.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it is different to me this time, not put a PowerPoint to guide me, but I also think that it's very good that people get the images themselves in their minds and in their heads of what I'm trying to convey. I hope I can do it this way. And I'm going to make a little resume of what this project is about. And from there, I'm going to elaborate. So this project has a beauty that it forms a virtuous circle in which a food, an ingredient, a seed, nutritious seed that was used in the past by many cultures in Mexico, not just one, but several of them, is used as a food. And by doing this regaining of this knowledge, which had been lost for many years, because it was traditionally used and it was lost and the knowledge was eroded, as it comes back to the tables and to the meals of people in the rural communities, they enjoy it, they see their possibilities, how good in their bodies it is, because it's, apart from nutritious, is medicinal, and it's filling, and it has a taste that they are used to, and it resounds on their mind, on their ancestors. And the circle continues in that they discover they can process this seed in different ways, and they can make an income out of it and sell it as a coffee substitute and as an ingredient for bakery. So by doing this, they get motivation again to plant the tree and be able to get more seeds out of this. So in the case that they were forgetting all these traditions, they see an economical and a health input or advantage to recover this seed. So that's how it goes in this virtuous circle. And from there, I can elaborate many things. But that's the basis of this bounty of this seed. And in trying to talk a little bit about now, again, going back to the beginning of the seed, this is a tropical tree. It's called the Maya nut, or in Mexico, it receives more than 50 local names, so it gives an idea of how important it was for the different cultures. So every time I go to a different town or community or state of the country, I have to change my language to add the name in many different native languages. So whether it's Maya, Totonaco, etc., etc. So 50 different names. And the tree is a beautiful tree that produces an average of 150 kilos of seed every season. It's a tree that stands very well climate change, hurricanes, and it still produces seeds. It's like many other trees that one year produces a lot, and then maybe for 1 or 2 years it rests and produces much less. But within a forest, we have different trees doing different things every year. So there's basically almost always enough to harvest and feed the families there. So the situation with the tree and the seed was that with the availability of foods that are processed and people losing their habits to go to the forests, the habit of eating this seed was disappearing completely, and people didn't know it anymore. Only in the old women is that they had this knowledge. So for us, it is very important that all women are in our workshops, because they are the ones that lead the all the information that is important to gather. So well, another thing about this tree is that it produces more, or it can capture more CO2 than the average tree. So for the case of the capturing CO2 is a very climate change and all that is a very important tree. It can measure 30 or more meters tall, and is beautiful, and is widespread in the country, in Mexico, but also it goes as south as the Amazon. So we have it in Mexico and all the other countries down to Peru. And in the other countries, it as well receives different names. So whatever it is done in this, with this tree and with this species, it can replicate, as you can imagine, widely, and it can be as a lifesaver for many of the important problems that we tackle nowadays, with the deforestation, the malnutrition, the loss of knowledge, of traditions, and very important, and I will place a little space for that, the role of women in saving the planet and in using their knowledge to get the best of it. So how do we proceed in doing this program? It started like 20 years ago by Erika Bowman. She lives in Colorado, and she went to Guatemala doing some field work as an agronomist, and she tasted a soup made of Ramon, and she went back to Colorado and she started researching it. And it had been said before years ago that this was a very good seed for its nutrition purposes and everything, but nobody had really taken any approach to revive this knowledge. And she designed something that is beautiful because of its simplicity. she designed some workshops that were based on the knowledge, on the abilities, on the tools that were already in the women in the communities. So basically, what we do when we go and approach a community, and this is in different ways we do it, I can explain a bit later. Um, uh, we hold a workshop of all the women that want to come along in a rural kitchen, which is normally either the school kitchen or one of the ladies' kitchen, um, which are normally outdoors as well. And we cook, we bring all the seed that we ask them to collect from the forest. Many of them still know the seed but don't eat it anymore, or many of them don't know the seed at all, but they identify it. So we ask them to bring it to the workshop, and from there we just start straight away with action without giving big speech or big introductions or classes about anything. We just start cooking, because that's what the women in rural situations want to do. They don't want to spend hours in, getting a lot of talk. So we go straight to cooking, and everybody takes, one role. In someone peels a potato, or someone boils the ramon seed, and as they are asking me, what are we going to cook? And I say, well, the traditional food we eat in everywhere in Mexico are the tamales, which are some sort of cakes wrapped in corn leaves, and they can be sweet or savory, and they can have meat or fruit inside, and they're very delicious, and they're traditional for every party in the communities in Mexico. So they start to ask me, but what about the ramon? And I said, well, we just get the way that you do your tamales in every day, and we will be adding the ramon. So we process the ramon in two ways. One is as the corn is processed, as for tortillas and tamales and all the different foods that are with cooked corn or cooked ramon. And we just mix both doughs, because we then grind it and make a dough, and we make dough of corn and dough of ramon, and we mix both, and the mix gets a little bit of a green color, which it makes it appealing and tasty to people, because it's not very strong, it's very nice, and it's soft, and it's nice to the palate. And that's one way we prepare it. So they don't need to be learning a lot of recipes. They just have to be doing whatever they do every single day. But now they know they're adding another flavor and another advantage to their food. And then we have another general way to process the ramon or maya nut, which is to roast it and grind it. And for that, the women have their we call it comal, but I don't know the word in English. Is like where their dish, where they put it directly to the fire, and they toast their maya nut seed, and then with the hand grinder, they grind their. So it's a very difficult job, or it's a very arduous work, because the seed is full of calcium. So it's very hard to grind. And with this powder they end up with, they can do a coffee substitute, or they can do this powder that they add as not as a substitute to the flour, but as an ingredient that makes the cakes taste a bit like mocha or like chocolate. So children love it, because they have their meals like cookies or smoothies. I mean, the smoothie is not something that they do much in there, but they do ice cream with all this second way of preparing. So they love it, the children. And once we are cooking, we talk about with the older women about what they want to spare, what they want to talk about the Maya nut, and then the magic comes, because the stories about their ancestors and how they survived famine and scarcity with this seed, because in the times of war, when there was no food available to grow, the seed was still available in the forest. So they only had to go and harvest it and cook it. And they were not getting ill, and they were still healthy. So there was other times when there was the locust or some other pests were attacking the crops. It also saved lives. So it's very interesting to hear how the older women have already these stories, and all what we had to give the information, like in my case, coming from outside, is basically given. And we don't need to comment too much after all the dishes are prepared. And I only show them some posters, very illustrative, very simple, on how the Maya nut has more calcium, for example, than many other of the foods that they eat, has more folic acid, has more iron, has the 20 amino acids of the basic amino acids, and have a good quantity of this amino acid that helps calm us down. It will come to me, but I've forgotten. So it has all this goodness, the calcium, vitamin C, iron, etc. So once they taste as well the flavors, they want to go back to it, and we cook enough for them to take back to their families. And so the husbands as well get engaged in this program, and in saying, okay, we will go as a family to harvest the seed, because when there has been processes of commercializing the seed, for example, in the US, it's very important that children are not involved in these commercial practices, and there is no exploitation and all that. But we try to involve them as well in regaining this knowledge, because there is no purpose that the children will forget how the seed looks, what do they have to go and look for, and basically this link with the forest, because it is a very strenuous work to go and kneel yourself and pick up all the little seeds that are like the size of the marble, and then they have to face that there are serpents, and that there are mites and all sort of insects as well that that they get, and mosquitoes and all that. But they don't seem to care. But if they don't go out, they also forget all these things, you know. And the other thing is that forests are getting further and further apart from their houses. So if we can encourage them, and if they realize they can have it close to their homes, they start to do plantations or reforestations next to the schools and next to their homes, and in the places that they grow their corn or grow their cattle, because as if it was little enough, or a lot enough, the seeds of the seeds and the leaves of the Maya nut feed the wildlife and the cows, the cattle and the pigs and all the domestic animals. So when we realize that we are cutting a lot of the forest because we are growing cattle, this is a good answer as well. We can grow Maya nuts and keep them small, and like they do in some parts of the country, they cut the branches and they feed their cattle. And because it has calcium, and it has a property as well to make both women and animal produce more milk when they are feeding their babies. So traditionally, women, older women, know that if there is a woman that is lactating, they should have maya nut in their diet because they can produce a lot of milk. So we do these workshops, and from these workshops, magic occurs because we just leave this little taste of the program in them and the motivation. And then after some of the women that want to carry on with the program, we open the door, we give them our telephones, and we say that if they want to participate as trainers of their own communities, they can do it. And the way to form a trainer is to have 3 workshops with me, say, that I go all around. And I say, okay, you have your first introduction. Then the second workshop is you help me very much closely to guide the recipes and everything I need. And the third workshop, you give the workshop and I am your assistant. And in that way, you are completely formed because as I say, is the human capital that we rely on. They don't need big things to know from outside that they don't already have in themselves. So they become trainers and they can expand their trainings all around their area of influence. They can go few kilometers away and carry on training in other communities, but they also become the leaders of their own destiny in this program, because they can do this marketing, for example, if they are willing, because it's no good to be pushing some attitudes or even roles in persons that are not up to them, you know. So like, even though if you say, oh, you're gonna earn a lot of money, and you know, many people don't want to have it. Sorry, I think I'm taking too long, right?
We're coming up close to the end of our time. So
yeah. Okay.
I want to thank you for what what you've shared. I want to thank you for the work you're doing. What an amazing model. And I want to thank you for coming and sharing this with us. I know I personally got a lot of this, and I want to thank you for that. And I think you presented a wonderful thing in the time you had. I know speaking for me, I know we could have listened to you longer, but I know we all have things to do, like you have to go out and help those people. So thank you so much. And I want to invite everybody to come back, once a month. We're here. It only takes a half an hour, and we're just here to, support each other in whatever you do. I always like to remind people that whatever you're doing for, your eco-activism to help this earth is important. So I want to thank you for that. And I will see you hopefully next month.
I feel very inspired by that, Cecilia. And Andrea, I'm just wondering, will Cecilia's contact information be available if people have questions or want to reach out?
On the stuff that we sent out, there is a website on there. So I would recommend that people go to see the website that should be, I will double check to make sure that link got in there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's my email in there in the section of Mexico.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia.
Thank you, Cecilia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.